My wife and I welcomed our son into the world early this month. Prior to his birth, we had been given a lot of very nice clothes and toys by my parents for him. My MIL also made some pretty incredible clothes and blankets. My wife, her siblings, and their mom lived in poverty for a large part of her life. Their dad abandoned the family and left my wife's mom with a large pile of debt that weighed on them. So their life wasn't easy. My MIL often made her kids clothes versus buying them because it was cheaper for her to do. She worked in a store that had a lot of fabrics that they were allowed to take the excess of. She's talented and always put an effort into making sure the clothes looked good enough so the kids wouldn't be bullied. Those clothes are something my wife treasures. She remembers how much love and effort went into them. She also appreciates that her mom tried to make them work enough to blend in at school, that it saved them years of potential bullying. All these years later, and MIL is still dealing with the debt. She does not have a lot, so she made some amazing clothes and blankets for our son. One of the outfits was even his take-home outfit. But then a couple of days after our son was born, she comes over with a bag of clothes she bought saying she wanted him to have more. My wife and I were shocked. I could see she was upset and looked almost guilty, so when my wife went to nap, I asked her what was going on. At first she said nothing, and she just wanted her grandson to have more. But then she apologized for embarrassing us. I asked her what she meant. She told me my parents had talked to her after the baby shower and told her she had left all the grandparents spoiling to them, that she should understand if we never put our son in any of the clothes because really, they look like the kind of homemade clothes from 70+ years ago when people were left with no choice. They accused her of not caring enough. I told her I was so sorry they had said that. I assured her I had never said anything like that to them, that my parents had no idea what it was like to have nothing and were being judgmental assholes. I even convinced her to take back the clothes she bought and return them to the store. I then gathered up everything my parents gave us and went to their house. My parents didn't even try to deny it when I confronted them. All they did is look down on the effort she put into them. They said we couldn't seriously be okay with those being the only gifts. I said we were, and as far as I was concerned, they were the only truly generous gift he got, and I told them it was their gifts I was embarrassed of. I gave them the stuff and told them we were no longer accepting the gifts or them after what they did. They are furious, saying I reacted way too harshly and saying it's an asshole move to return gifts. I'm furious with them too. The situation involves complex emotional issues and difficult family relationships. It's important to remember that each family has its own dynamics and problems, and they need to be approached with empathy and understanding. Additionally, it's essential to recognize the value of the work and effort that people dedicate to doing something for their loved ones, regardless of their origin or appearance. To give some context, every year one of my friends, 26 years old, male, organizes a gathering at his cottage. Typically, the gathering is done on a rotating basis, where each weekend he invites 2 to 4 people at a time. This year he decided to do something different and invite everyone to the cottage at the same time. To accommodate the 12 of us who were going for 3 days, the plan was to camp outside. During the planning, 2 people said they didn't have camping gear. To help them out, I said I have a tent and 2 cots that they can use for the entire weekend. The 2 of them had no problem with this until the day of the gathering. Last weekend, like always, instead of driving, I flew my Cessna 185 Seaplane to the cottage since it's on a beautiful lake. When it was time to pitch all the tents, with the help of my friend, we pulled my plane onto the grassy part of his backyard. When that was done, I set up my special plane camping tent. The tent I have is one where you drape it over your plane's wing before hooking it into the ground. When that is done, you have an enclosed tent with everything but a floor. When the 2 people I was helping saw the tent and cots, they had no problem with the arrangement. That was until one person asked where I was going to sleep, to which I said I would be in the back of the plane. When I told her no, she got really upset and started swearing at me, calling me an idiot for misleading her. Looking back, I'm unsure if I'm the idiot in this situation. While I kept my word, I never told them the specifics of my gear, which makes me think that maybe I'm the one in the wrong here. In my opinion, the person who offered their camping tent and cots to the friends who didn't have equipment is not to blame for the situation that occurred. Although they did not specify that the tent was to be used on the plane, they offered their camping tent and cots to their friends, and the fact that they were offered with good intentions should not be ignored. Additionally, the expectations of the friends who received the offer of the tent and cots should also be taken into consideration. If they had any concerns, they should have asked for more details before accepting the offer. On the other hand, the friend who was upset about not being able to sleep in the plane tent may have felt misled, but this emotion does not justify the way she reacted. I believe that an honest and respectful conversation could have resolved the situation before it escalated into a heated argument. Overall, the lesson here is that clear and honest communication is essential when it comes to borrowing and expectations. People should be transparent about what they are offering and asking for, and others should ask questions and clarify any doubts to avoid misunderstandings and disagreements. Last night, my girlfriend and I were watching a movie, probably around 11 p.m. Our son should have been in bed and asleep for a few hours by now, but apparently he woke up and went to the bathroom exactly when a character said a curse word loudly. We had the volume lower than normal, but he still heard it. I tried my best to calm him down and get him back to bed, but he kept asking what it meant. I told him it was a bad word he shouldn't say, and that he didn't need to know what it meant. Apparently, that just made him more curious. It's been a day now, and we've already threatened and applied as many punishments as we could think of. Sit in a corner. We'll take away your video games. We won't let friends come over, etc. But he won't stop talking or asking what it means. Well, my girlfriend and I wanted to go out to eat. Normally, we would take our son with us, but we decided we probably shouldn't because he might say it in public or even to someone or ask someone what it means. I don't want to deal with that or have to explain it to someone. Especially, I don't want to be kicked out of a place because my son is constantly saying obscenities. So for the first time since he was about 2, we got a babysitter. Not a complete stranger, one of our friends who our son has met many times. I knew he wouldn't be happy, but he just refused to stop asking about the new word he just learned. He was very upset about not being able to go to dinner. I told him that we would bring him food and wouldn't be gone long, and that our friend would watch a movie with him or play with him, whatever he wanted. But he wasn't having it. We were only gone for 2 hours, and apparently while we were out, all he did was sit in his room and pout. He eventually got bored and came out to watch TV, but he was still visibly upset. Now we're home, and we've made some progress. He seems to be mostly getting over his fascination with the word. Regardless, he's still upset about not being able to go out. I feel a bit silly, but I don't know. I can observe that the situation is an example of how children can be curious and persistent in asking about words or concepts they hear, even if they are inappropriate for their age. It is understandable that parents worry about their children's behavior in public and try to take measures to correct inappropriate behavior. However, it is important to remember that excessive punishment may not be effective and may even cause resentment or frustration in the child. Instead, it is important to talk to the child and explain why certain words or behaviors are inappropriate and help them understand the consequences of their actions. Additionally, it is essential for parents to establish clear and consistent boundaries for their children's behavior so that they can understand what is expected of them and feel safe and protected.